Hello students, welcome to this next lecture of English. Dear students, in last video lecture we studied prose section uh, 1.1 the astrologer's day. In today's lecture we are going to learn second section, it is poetry. Uh, in today's lecture we will discuss on first poem, The Song of the Open Road, which is written by Walt Whitman, an American poet. So before start the poem, let's see the icebreakers. Dear students, we would like to travel different types of the place for a trip, picnic, or any religious historical place. So according to that, choose the mode of travel that you would like the most for your journey, such as airways, waterways, railways, roadways. Your answer should be different because according to the spot or your journey place, you have to choose the mode of travel. Second, if you choose airways, give reasons for your preference, means why you choose the mode of airways. Second activity, discuss with your partner the preparation you would like to make for the journey chosen, means when you decided to go for the trip, generally what precautions or what preparation you would like to make. So prepare your plan. According to your planning you have to just write, such as name of the place, how to go, what to see, time to visit, time date, uh, day span of your journey. So all of these things related to your preparations, and there are so many remaining points which is related to your preparation, so you have to just complete your points. Next one is that discuss the ways in which you would like you would overcome the problems or the hindrance difficulties you face during your journey. Dear students, your problem or your difficulties is totally among your journey, means in your journey what you have to face actually. So according to that you have to just complete this answer. Next question is, during every journey we have to observe certain rules. Discuss your ideas of the journey without any restrictions. You can begin like this: I would go alone with selected friends. I would like to go with my family members. I would like to go with my teachers. I would like to go with my college students. So this way you have to just choose your journey views and complete the activities. So let's see the poem, The Song of the Open Road. This is very beautiful poem which is related to the journey. Let's see the brief information about the poets Walt Whitman. According to the Walt Whitman was born in 1819 on a Long Island. During his early years he trained as a printer, then became a teacher, and finally a journalist and editor. He was less than successful. His stridently radical views made him unpopular with readers. After an 1848 sojourns in the South, which introduced him to some of the variety of the country, he returned to New York and began to write poetry. In 1855, he self-published the first edition of Leaves of Grass, which at the time consisted of only 12 poems. The volume was widely ignored, with one significant expectations. Ralph Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote him a congratulatory letter in which he offered his uh, greetings at the beginning of the great career. Whitman promptly published another edition of Leaves of Grass, expanding it by some 20 poems and appending the letter from Emerson. Much to the latter's discomfort, 1860 saw another edition of the now much larger Leaves containing some 156 poems, which was issued by the trade publishers. At the outset of the Civil War, Whitman volunteered as a nurse in an army hospital. He also wrote dispatch as a correspondent for the New York Times. The war inspired a great deal of poetry, which was published in 1865 as a uh, drum taps. Drum taps was then incorporated into in 1867 edition of the Leaves of Grass, as was another volume of wartime poetry, a sequel which include the poems written in Lincoln's assassinations. Whitman's wartime work led to a job with the Department of the Interior, but he was soon fired with when his superior learned that he had written the Récit of the poems Leaf of Grass. The failure of reconstruction led him to write the best known for his prose work, Democratic Vistas, which has its title implies argues for the maintenance of democratic ideals. This volumes came out in 1871, as did it another edition of Leaves of Grass. Expand to include more poems. The 1871 edition was reprinted in 1876 for the centennial. Several other prose works followed. Then a further expanding versions of Leaves of Grass in 1881. Uh, Whitman mostly was an American poet, essayist, and the journalist. Whitman is among the most influential poet of the American canon and is often called the father of fevers. He grew up the Huntington in the family with difficult economic status. His major work, Leaf of Grass, was published in July 1855. His "O Captain, My Captain," a poem written on the death of the Abraham Lincoln, is widely popular. The selection of Song of the Open Road from Leaves of Grass. It is beautiful blend of self-awareness, free will, and tenderness of heart. It gives us poets realization that along the journey of life one will face a test of wisdom which is not tested at any school or university. A road is something everyone uses, whether rich or poor, and it forces all levels of people to associated with one another. The road signifies mobility. One can take the road as the point to start over towards something new. Whitman talks about the people and places. He argues against staying in one place for too long, although his hospitality may be true. So this is all about the What Whitman's. Now let's see the actual poem. First I read the whole poem, then I'll explain stanza wise. Look at the poem. Song of the Open Road. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Henceforth, I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth, I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, curious criticisms. Strong and content, I travel the open road, the earth that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Still here I carry my old delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them and I will fill them in return. So this is very beautiful poem. Let's see the explanations of first stanza. In the first stanza, the speaker begin his journey. So he writes, afoot and light-hearted. Look at the first stanza. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, and world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. This is the first stanza. In the first stanza, the poet explains, the reader is able to glean several important points. First, the speaker is setting out on the open road on foot. Secondly, he is light-hearted and open to all he is about to experience. Additionally, the speaker recognizes that it is he who is in control of his journey. He will choose where the path will take him on his journey. So, the speaker is setting out to his journey on the open road. So, and according to his journey, he just mentioned all about his view. He will choose the path where the road gone. Look at the second stanza. The second stanza continues the thoughts expressed in the first three lines. Whitman writes, henceforth I ask not good fortune. Henceforth I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, curical criticism, strong and content, I travel the open road. Again, he explain. He explain here. He is upset, so he does not have pray for good luck. He is a maker of his own luck, and he will not cry anymore to do what he wants. And he also says that he does not have to pray for good luck because he is the maker of his own luck. He will no longer cry or hesitate to do what he wants because he is in need of nothing. He is no longer content with being walled inside. He is strong and happy to be on the open road. In line 6, Whitman writes the colloquial criticism. The use of alliteration here emphasizes the speaker's carefree tone, which is continued throughout the course of Song of the Open Road. In the third stanza, Whitman refers to the earth and start. He writes, the earth that is sufficient. Very beautifully he writes, the earth that is sufficient. I do not want to constellations any nearer. The earth that is sufficient. I do not want to constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Still here, I carry my old delicious burden. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them and I will fill them in return. In the third stanza, he mentioned the speaker seems to separate himself from others. He says the earth is fine the way it is. He does not desire to be any closer to the stars than he already. He knows they are fine where they are, and he knows they are good enough for those who belong to them. This last line in the strong contrast to the rest of the poem, where the speaker emphasizes his free will and independence, which means he probably does not include himself in the group of people who belong to the constellation. He does not belong to them because he does not need them. So here the poet focus on the loneliness of the speaker, and he does not wish to mix any group. He just live his life lonely, independently. So the writer focus here the independentness and loneliness of the speaker. At the last stanza, which is given in the bracket, still here I carry my old delicious burden. I carry them, men and women. Still I carry my old delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. According to this stanza, Whitman used the parentness here makes the stanza more of an aside than its own separate being. It is almost an afterthought that the speaker decides to throw in, but it is still important. The song of the open road here, the speaker admits that he is not without his own problems, but instead of fretting, he realizes them. The reader can see this through Whitman's diction. His use of the word delicious is no accident. Through that word, Whitman conveys the sense of relish the speaker feels of his burden. In the second line of the final stanza, the speaker admits uh, to all that he carries them with him wherever he goes. This thought is continued in the final two lines of the poem. The speaker declares that he cannot rid himself of them. Instead, he and his burdens share a symbolic relationship of sort. He is filled with his burden, and in return, he fills them. The speaker is stating that uh, here that his burdens do not define him, rather he accepts them and carries them with him where he goes. Like many poems contain the Whitman's seminal work Leaves of Grass, this poem is an ode to one's self. Whitman reveals in his own independence and ability to control his life. And this idea of self-determination has continued to influence readers since the publication Leaves of Grass in 1855. The poem is excellent The reader of any culture should feel proud of being human being. He or she is able to decide his or her future destiny. Uh, Notwithstanding this attitude in the poem, it smacks of machisms of American spirit, where the human and mixed saviors like Superman and Spider-Man were born. Not to mention the bullying American attitude of spying the whole world up spot any other nation going beyond them, or anyone becoming better than us. The attitude is very well portrayed in person of Trump, as it was in times of George Bush. He first falsely blamed Iraq for chemical weapons and launched an offensive on the civilian to get Saddam Hussein out. After he entered Iraq, he found no chemical weapons. Nevertheless, the damage of the civilian life. So, in this way, the poet describes here the loneliness, self-determinations of the speakers. So, this is very beautiful poem. Finally, the speaker is stating here that his burden do not define him. Rather, he accept them and carry them with him wherever he goes. So, this is very beautiful poem written by Watt Whitman. Now, let's see the figure of speech from this poem. According to this poem, figure of speech such as alliteration, repetition, metaphor, climax, anticlimax, uh, inversion, personifications, these are the important figure of speech in this poem. And a rhyming scheme, actually this poem is written in the free blank verse, so that's why this poem is the free verse poem. Thank you.